Well, we're live now. For anyone who may not know you, what's your name and what do you do?
My name is Lori Korzen, and I am the state representative for Coos County District 7, which includes Berlin, Whitefield, Jefferson, Kilkenny, and Twin Mountain.
Okay, so you're the
Awesome.
only one from that area?
Yes.
Okay. And so, like, how do you get into that? Like, is there certain, like, steps and different jobs that you have to get on the way up, or is it?
Generally,
Okay.
there are. I mean, most people start out in their local government,
Yep.
planning board, zoning boards, city council, and you kind of work your way up from there.
Okay.
I did not. I was on the zoning board for a little bit.
Okay.
And that was it. But that's kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And you're from Berlin, yes?
I am originally from Massachusetts.
Okay.
But I don't like to tell people that.
Okay.
That's
I
That's
know
fair.
what you call
So-
it.
Yeah.
Hey,
But I've been here since like 2002.
Okay.
So it's my home.
And where'd you go to college?
I went to college down in Massachusetts, Massasoit.
Okay.
I also did like a work program at Harvard University only because I was helping in the labs and stuff like that.
Cool.
That's
Cool,
awesome.
Cool.
and what brought you to Berlin, to the area?
So my mom and dad bought a house in Stark, and my husband and I, we did foster and adoption
Yeah.
in Massachusetts for years and years. We adopted our two boys we met them when they were 10 and 4. We adopted them when they were 12 and 6. We wanted to get out of the city.
Yeah.
We wanted a nice slower pace, somewhere where the gangs were not so prevalent.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of brought us up here.
And you like it
Nice.
up here, obviously?
I love it up
Good.
here.
Good.
I mean,
Good.
you know, even when driving down the street and stuff,
Yeah.
you look at the mountains.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
It
I,
is, yes.
I will never get over. I will never get used to seeing like bear and deer, and like every single time I see it, it's like
Yeah,
a
it's
blessing
amazing,
because
yeah,
it's awesome.
Right. You definitely don't have that everywhere you go.
No, you don't.
Right?
You
So-
don't. And I mean, just the mountains and the sun is
Yeah.
just incredible.
And I'd like to commend you for, doing that foster care thing. It's a really great thing. It seems like, is it a fairly difficult thing to do, bringing someone into your home and kind of maybe changing their lifestyle a little bit?
It was.
Okay.
It was quite a different experience for my husband
Yeah,
and I. We
yeah.
had no kids prior to taking
Okay.
in foster kids,
Yeah.
so yeah, and we still lived in Boston.
Yeah.
So we were used to, somebody calls at 2 a.m. and they're like, "Hey, we're going here. Do you want to go?" And
Yeah.
absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was different. We had to create more of a normal schedule.
Yeah.
I know you guys are into music.
A little bit, yeah.
I was in a couple bands.
Really?
I play
Nice.
drums. I
Okay.
play bass.
Yeah, nice. What kind of music?
Usually rock.
Yeah,
Rock
cool,
mostly.
cool.
I did play on a couple worship teams in some of the area churches and
Okay.
stuff like that.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Do you still do the music here and there?
So I do here and there.
Yeah.
I do here and there. Yes. I had a stroke about 7 years ago, and so my right side doesn't work as well as
Yeah.
I would like. But I can still keep up okay.
That's
Good for
I'm
awesome.
you.
not doing any of the
Yeah.
fancy stuff. But
Good for you.
yeah.
So being a state rep, is it a pretty, taxing job? Is there a lot to it, or?
So being a state rep, you can do as much or as little as you want.
Okay.
Honestly, unfortunately, some areas, they have reps who work, full-time jobs, and so they come to Concord. They put in their votes, and,
Yeah.
and that's it. Others, I don't work a full-time job, so I'm in Concord as much as I can.
Good, yeah.
So it really depends. To do a good job, you should put a few hours. 20 hours at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always something to do. And
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
And so you travel down to Concord a lot then?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Last week I was down there 4 days, so I drove there and back 4
Ooh.
times. Yeah,
Yeah, it can be a lot, I'm sure.
yeah. But I look at it as, you know what, my term next year is not guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to use these 2 years to accomplish as much as possible and be down there as much as possible.
Yeah.
So
Good for you.
Yeah.
And do you have foster children now?
I do not.
No. Okay.
When we moved up to New Hampshire, one of my adopted sons
Yeah.
actually called and said him and his girlfriend were in trouble. And would we take his girlfriend's baby? It's
Okay.
not his baby.
Yeah.
And we did. So we fostered that little guy for about 16 months.
Mm-hmm.
he is living with me now. We love him. He's a grandson.
Yeah.
There's no
Right.
yeah, there's
yeah.
no blood, but
course,
he's my
yeah.
Yes.
grandbaby,
Yeah.
and I'll fight
Yeah.
to the death for him. And
Sometimes they don't have to be blood to be family, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today's episode is brought to you by Poolin's Polish. Poolin's Polish is an automotive detailing business I started that offers inside and out detailing, buffing, polishing, ceramic coating, undercoating, and more. We service cars, trucks, boats, tractor trailers, etc. in the northern New Hampshire area. Call or text 603-728-5806 to book. That's 603-728-5806 to book. So we do have a couple bills that you were working on or might have passed. We saw that on your Facebook. So I would
Okay.
like it if you could just kind of run us through them. The first one I was interested on is this one, the Property Tax Relief Act. So maybe if you could just run us through kind of what that's about.
Absolutely. So that was a bill that it wasn't my bill, but it was a Republican bill.
Okay.
Where they wanted to put a cap on property tax. Property tax is killing everyone.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
it's not just here in Berlin, although I think Berlin's hit harder than
Yeah.
most.
Mhm.
And we need a way to make it so that our elderly are not being pushed out.
Okay.
You know, we did just come up here in 2000, but we have many memes and pepes
Yeah.
that we
Yes.
consider our own
Yeah,
up
yeah.
here.
Right.
And, you know, having to listen to them say they might have to move out, it's
Mhm.
heartbreaking.
Yeah, totally.
So this cap would have made it so that your city budget cannot increase any more than it's directly tied to the inflation rate.
Okay.
So that at least our elderly, our young families would have an idea about how much it could jump.
Okay.
So that last year our tax rate rose by 14%.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's significant. This would kind of put a cap on it. Try to bring on a little bit more responsibility in spending.
Okay.
So we were really hoping that was going to pass. The problem is someone put an amendment in, which kind of made the whole thing null and void.
Okay.
The amendment was passed. So once that was passed, we kind of got the no, kill it signal. It's going to hurt us more than help us. So it did not go through.
So without that cap, what are some of the other factors that are driving the rise in property taxes?
Schools are a big issue.
Okay.
But everything from municipal to county to, you know, funds are raised. I mean, things are being raised on us.
Yeah.
You go to the grocery store, you can't not see it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, that's hurting a lot of people, a lot of young families, a lot of the elderly. So we have to do something. We have to put something into place that might help.
Do
Right.
you have any ideas on what that might be coming up, or if you're allowed to share
So-
or not?
So the tax cap, I think, is a great idea because it's still going to allow the different departments to create their own budgets,
Okay.
but it will, I don't want to say force, but it will very much encourage them to look at how they're spending their money
Mm-hmm.
and maybe make some hard choices.
Yeah.
But I do think that we're at a time where hard choices have to be made. I mean, we're making the elderly choose sometimes between medicine and food.
Yeah.
We're making young
Absolutely, yeah.
families, you know, I heard of parents going to bed hungry just so their kids could eat.
Yeah.
Hard choices have to be made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's like nursing homes. I didn't realize until my meme went into one. Like those are expensive, and sometimes they'll even like if your grandparents had a house or something, like they'll put that up for kind of
Yes.
collateral. Like they can't sell the house until they're done at the nursing home to make
Yes.
sure that they do have the funding to be paid for them to be there. And it's just they're on a fixed income if they're at that point going into the nursing home and everything. So they can't
Right.
plan on this inflation and everything. And even if it does go up, their budget never goes up either.
Right.
So
Right. And isn't that a travesty that we're putting our elderly in that position? I mean,
Yeah.
right.
I don't know your mama, but I can imagine she would want to save that house for you guys.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to put that up so she can be in a nursing home.
Right.
Those
Yeah.
are some of the hard
Yeah.
choices that I'm talking about.
So now that this is kind of in the past? Do you have anything else in the works that maybe would work instead?
We do. So two things actually. The Republicans are trying to bring this back
Okay.
in another form with a different amendment.
Okay.
They're actually asking everyone to go online and sign their petition
I saw that. Yeah.
because it would have to be petition based. So,
Okay.
Right.
so you can go online and sign that.
Yeah.
Now, at the last city council I went to, it was probably about a month ago, I did bring up the tax cap because I'm all about local control. I like local control. I don't think the state should be telling cities how to do anything.
Okay.
The city can put in its own tax cap. And I mentioned that to Mayor Cole.
Mhm.
And he actually, he would seemed open to it. He actually invited me to come to the next city council work session in February. I believe it's February 2nd. And I will be proposing a citywide tax cap. It's kind of the same thing, but for the city.
Okay.
Berlin is one of the only cities in New Hampshire that doesn't already have this tax cap.
Okay.
So, you know, we would not be the first. And I'm hoping that, you know, with enough, I'm going through it. Actually, Mayor Cohen is going through it. He seems open to the idea. I know that he really wanted to bring taxes down too. But this is just one tangible way that we might be able to get a rein on spending,
Okay.
to get control on it. So I'm hoping that the mayor and the city council are going to be okay with that. There's two ways to do it. If the city council decides, let's do it, it's a much quicker way to do it. They can work with the municipal association, write it up, get that done. If not, and I'll have to see how the citizens feel, we can do it as just citizens and residents of Berlin. Obviously, I'd rather do it with the city
Yeah.
than against the city.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And now when you say the residents and stuff could do it, is that the petition?
Yes.
Okay.
So that would be the petition. So I started that about a month ago, and I do have about 400 signatures. To really do that right, though, that would take maybe sitting out at Walmart in spring and getting signatures.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the people that it affects, the elderly,
Mhm.
They're not online. They're
Yeah.
not as savvy
Right.
online. So it would take, you know, some going door to door and asking if people are interested. You know, it's something I'm willing to do.
Yeah.
But obviously, if we could get the city to work with us, it could be a great thing
Right.
for our residents.
And how come do you think we are the last city to put this cap into act?
So we're not the last.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not the last, but I think there's 9 other cities, including Manchester and Concord, who have the tax cap.
Okay.
I'm not sure why it hasn't been brought up.
Okay.
I know that, you know, our city council want to do what's right for the people. I know that. Even in years past, everyone there wants to do what they believe is best for the city.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we need to remember, especially because politics is so divisive
Yeah.
right now that
Right.
it's easy to just label someone you don't agree with as, you know, evil or the
Yeah.
enemy.
Of course. Yeah.
But really, it's just people offering their best ideas.
Right.
You know?
Sometimes, yeah. And not everyone likes to hear out the full story of
Absolutely.
each side, and
Yes.
I wanted to ask you that too, with social media, posting your stuff on Facebook. You must see that. How long have you been in the politics side of things? Because I'm sure when you first started compared to now, social media has changed it quite
It has.
a bit.
So I honestly haven't been that much into politics in my life. As a 20, even early 30-year-old, I was one of those who thought it doesn't matter to me. It won't matter to me in
Yeah.
10
Right.
years. It won't, you know, nothing they do there is going to affect me. And I pretty much lived in that type of cloud. But I became a grandma,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden things became very important. And it started when I started fostering and adopting, because I did see how much politics affected even our kids,
Mhm. Right.
especially in DCYF. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's a travesty what our kids go through. So that kind of brought me along. So I kind of was just, you know, in the background voting and stuff. It was only probably about 10 or 12 years ago that I really got heavily involved.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Mason, you want to go to the next one, please? Yeah, this one. So I noticed a lot of the ones that you've been posting are kind of in that domestic violence type of area, no?
Yes, absolutely.
So if you want to start with this first one, maybe kind of explain what this one was. Is this one passed now or not?
Sure. So I just presented all 4 of these in
Okay.
committee this week. None of them have been exec, so we don't know yet.
Okay.
I have a history with domestic violence. I was not abused or anything like
Yeah,
that. With what happened with Marisol this year,
Yeah.
and my own, we've done foster and adoption. We've seen young innocent kids come to us thinking that it's normal to treat their girlfriend that way or
Yeah.
their wife that way. It's really hard for them to understand that not every family is like that.
Yeah.
And I've seen that abuse go from one generation to the next because it's normalized. In my own family, my son was an innocent child when he came to us. He came at 10.
Yeah.
But he's never been able to hold a healthy relationship. And I love my son dearly. I will always be there for my son. My son needs $100. He's going to get $100. But I can't stand for that behavior. I have to stand for the next generation.
Right.
And so this first bill is because of that. My son, during the summer, he was arrested. He's in the county jail right now. Response came and tried to help she's not my daughter-in-law because they weren't married, but so Response came and tried to help her and my 2 grandsons. They were only offered they could only offer to send her to a shelter because without my son there, they couldn't keep an apartment. So I did. My daughter-in-law and my grandsons are living with us now. We're helping to raise them. It's not the easiest thing to do because,
Right.
I mean, it's hard to go to your own parents' house, never mind
course.
live
Yeah.
in someone else's
Yeah.
parents' house. But, she's doing great, and she did not deserve to be treated like that. But I want to make sure that my grandsons now don't grow up in a world where that's normalized.
So how does this bill affect that?
So that bill is, if you choose to commit violence, domestic violence, in front of a child,
Okay.
then there is an extended sentence that the
Okay.
prosecution can tack onto it.
Okay.
31 other states in the United States have that already. So we are a little bit behind the times in seeing that.
Okay.
But studies show how much it affects kids.
Yep.
Our sons who witness that, they're 2 to 3 times more likely to be abusive in their own relationships. And our little girls who see that, they're 2 to 3 times more likely to be abused.
Yeah.
So if we want to stop, we have to break this cycle somewhere. And I think it's just one tangible way to do it. The bill specifically carves out that the victimized parent is not going to be hurt by this bill
Okay.
because we don't
Right.
need to victimize victims.
Yeah.
But that was my thought in that bill.
Okay.
Absolutely. No, and that's, good for you for taking them in. I'm sure that's not easy for you, and I'm sure that's not easy for them. So
Absolutely.
that'll go a long way in the kids, and I'm sure your daughter-in-law or right in their future. So
Yes.
that's
And
awesome.
they've been great.
Yeah.
They've been great.
And how about the second one? How does this one go into
So the
that?
second one was one that I worked directly with the Coalition Against Domestic Violence and Sexual Abuse.
Okay.
So we wrote this to try to attempt to close some of the gaps that allowed Marisol's murder. Some of them were the judicial process just completely let Marisol down. Did you guys know Marisol at all?
Not very much. You
Yeah,
probably more than
I
me,
did
but-
a little bit, and
Did you?
yeah, my friend group I had a few friends that were pretty close with her. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, so it affected me deeply.
Yeah.
right.
I only knew her from going into the restaurant.
Yeah.
but she was always there with a big smile,
Yeah.
greeting you,
Yes.
making you feel at home. She always snuck the baby some flan.
Yeah.
You know, she was a sweet girl.
Yes. Always smiling, always having fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, the other thing is Marisol, we all talk about Marisol's murder, but I think it's important to talk about Marisol's life too, because
Mhm.
Absolutely.
she was working with the church to try to feed the homeless. She was working to feed, you know, families who didn't have food. She
Right.
was an amazing person.
Yes.
And she did not deserve what happened to her. This bill in particular, because we really want to get it right, it has been assigned to interim study,
Okay.
which means we're going to take the next year to make sure that we get it right, so that the language is right. It's not going to have any unintended consequences. And we really want the family to be happy with it, because if we're going to use her name, I want the family
Yeah.
to, you know, feel like they're really part
Mhm.
of this.
Right.
So-
Absolutely.
And you said like the goal was to kind of close in on some of those gaps. Could you expand on that
Yeah.
a little bit?
So even as far as the bail, the bail hit me especially hard, because a magistrate, not even a judge, put a $5,000, in effect, he put a $5,000 price tag on Marisol's life when he gave her ex bail. That wasn't bad enough, because even after that, they went before 2 other judges and saw the amount of harm he caused, saw that, you know, he kidnapped her, he sexually assaulted her, and they still let him out on 5,000. And those 2 other judges, you know, not to override a previous ruling, they kind of stepped back. We don't need that. We need people to step up.
Right.
We need people to step up for these victims. And I know domestic violence goes both ways.
Yeah.
But in Marisol's case, I
Yeah.
always refer to the victim as the female.
Yes.
So this bill
Absolutely.
basically is like someone that is accused of domestic violence, basically just a little bit more penalties, make them, you know, a little bit harder to maybe get out again.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it would put one of the issues was that after he got that bail of 5,000, he did move in with someone else,
Mhm.
and he was accused of almost the same thing to a minor here in Berlin. Now, there should be, and this is what the bill tries to do, there should be a mechanism in place so that if you're out on bail for one violent crime and somebody makes another violent crime allegation against you, there should be channels in place to go pick you up.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, but the way it is now, it's a totally separate situation. So that's a huge gap that we have to try to plug. And that's why it's going to interim study. We want to make sure that this is right.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because I know from close friends that the second victim that had accused him too, it affected her life in many ways, including even a work life. She was a minor in school, right? Going to work, working on a business where he would drive by multiple times a day, and there was nothing that apparently the police department or anybody could do about it because he's allowed to drive by. And so in result, she ended up leaving that job. So that affected her life in many other ways than actually just the
Right.
violence itself. So
Absolutely.
stuff like that is stuff that you don't see behind the scenes when stuff like this happens. So
Yes. And
it's
we
very
have
important.
to keep in mind that, you know, that abuse and that trauma, that's not something that ends that day.
Right.
I mean, these victims will have consequences their whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And that type of intimidation where he's driving back and forth, that's got to stop. We
Yeah.
got to get laws in our books to protect people.
So what is happening now? Like you said, if someone puts that accusation on them, and you said they're not getting picked up, so what's happening? It's just kind of blowing in the wind until something actually happens.
Yeah, apparently we need to put better, more specific language in bills
Okay.
to enable our police officers to go to that person and pick them up.
Okay.
Right.
Part of the problem is, you know, I've heard from many domestic violence survivors since Marisol's death.
Mm-hmm.
and they keep saying, but he's breaking the order. He's coming by my work, or he's doing this.
Yeah.
And every time the police show up, they're saying, well, you don't have proof.
Yeah.
So we need to make it easier for our police to take the victim into consideration.
Okay.
Because otherwise it's just intimidation.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
coercive control, which starts, that's another
Yeah,
bill
yeah.
that I spoke
Right.
on. So it's important,
Yeah. So would you like to go into the coercive control? Because I personally don't really know what that means. So
So
I'm sure there's many
coercive
that don't.
control is a tough one. So this bill is actually being sent to a subcommittee.
Okay.
And coercive control are all the little things that abusers do without laying their hands on you.
Okay.
For instance, in Marisol's case, he was able to put GPS tracking location on her car
Mm-hmm.
and on her phone. So he was able to track and control her movements everywhere she went. So he would show up places when she would try to go get help. Coercive control could be something like, not allowing the wife to spend any money,
Yeah.
or being able to save any money. It's being able to say who she can go out with and who she can't go out with.
Right.
Oftentimes in these relationships, these guys do not want their loved one to ever, have contact with another guy,
Yeah.
because she might cheat on him, he
Yeah.
might
Right.
cheat on her, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
But the guy's often able to still have those relationships.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the coercive control, when you try to alienate someone from everybody else so that they specifically have to depend on you. I was asked a question during that committee by the chairman, and he said, so what's the difference if you have a guy who goes out to work, and he takes the thermometer in the house and he turns it down to 50, and he says, do not touch that, I don't want to pay any extra electricity
Yeah.
or whatever. I said, is that coercive control? And I said, and I thought about it, and I was not able to answer there, but somebody else did. But since then, I've been thinking, that's not necessarily coercive control, because technically, the woman it is in a way. But,
Right.
But he said, now what if that person puts a lock on it? To me, once that person puts a lock on the thermostat and gives her no choice, that's coercive control. That's abuse.
Right.
Um,
You're not physically like abusing them, but mentally you're in control of what they can you're trying to control their thoughts and thinking
Yes.
and doing without actually physically
Yeah.
touching
yes,
them.
Absolutely. Some guys think, oh, well, I never hit her.
Yeah.
But there's a whole bunch of levels.
Right.
And honestly, a lot of the studies show that it's the physical and emotional abuse that do the most damage. Bruises will heal,
Yeah.
stuff like that heals, but it's that psychological
Mhm.
abuse that does a lot more damage.
And none of those things that you explained are really illegal right now, right? So
Right.
is that kind of the goal of this?
Right.
Okay.
So again, we're trying to plug in loopholes.
Yeah.
This bill was not completely supported by the coalition, because they worry that the definition in the bill could actually give some leverage to the abuser rather than the victim. So that's why it was being sent to subcommittee.
Okay.
It's going to be, they're going to work on the language and stuff,
Yeah.
see if they can come to an agreement on that. So,
Right. So it sounds like most bills, probably even domestic violence or not domestic violence, a lot of it has to do with the language and the way it's written for things to get passed or not.
Yes. So that was one of my big eye-opening things when I started getting involved in
Yeah.
politics. One little word can change the whole meaning of a
Yeah,
bill.
right.
May versus shall. It's amazing
Mhm.
because one mandates something and
Mhm.
one allows you to do something. So that
Right.
language is so important. And honestly, I am still learning. I am still very much learning that type of stuff. I have great mentors, but I'm still a newbie. So
Yeah, and I feel like the average person doesn't understand that, so they might be like, "Oh, why is this not happening? Why is this not
Right.
going through?" But they don't really understand what it takes, you know, and how
Yes.
much time.
Yep.
Yes, and I was one of those. I'm like, so
Yeah.
why don't we just write it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it really isn't
Yep.
as
Uh-huh.
easy as that.
Okay, Mason, you want to pull up the fourth one? Can I offer you a water at all?
No, I'm good,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so would you like to run us through this one? I tried not to look at them too much because I wanted to hear it from you,
Sure.
but yeah, if you'd like to run through this one.
So this was a bill I testified on spur of the moment.
Okay.
It was actually sponsored by 2 Democrats from southern New Hampshire. They want to change, right now in schools, according to the 306, which like outlines the curriculum for our public schools. In our public schools, they teach logic and rhetoric. Rhetoric, when you look into it, is more about being persuaded.
Okay.
So they're persuading the kids. These 2 Democrats, they put in the bill to change it from logic and rhetoric to logic and critical thinking. The difference between rhetoric and critical thinking is that rhetoric leads kids or whoever they're talking to persuade them to how your talk or what your beliefs.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
more of an emotional type
Mm-hmm.
bond experience where I want you to understand how this makes me feel. Logic and critical thinking is going to teach the kids how to read information, decide whether or not it's credible, and then form their own opinions
Yeah.
based on the critical information, on the credible information.
Yeah.
So it's not going to lead all of our kids to the same exact thought pattern.
Mm-hmm.
It gives a lot more room for different thoughts,
Yeah.
diverse thoughts,
yeah.
diverse ideas.
which is good, and I think especially in the school system now, with the way the world might be going, critical thinking involves discussion and debates,
Yeah.
and I think that will also teach kids how to learn with dealing with opposite opinions.
Absolutely.
And being able to debate correctly rather than just hating somebody for having a different
Yes.
opinion.
Yeah.
So you
So-
hit the nail on the head, and honestly, that's why I did support the bill and testified on
Yeah.
it, because I think, again, we can't just assume someone who has an opposite opinion is evil,
Right.
which I think most people do now.
Yeah,
Um,
and so you are on which party?
I'm a Republican.
So you're a Republican,
Yes.
and this is supported by 2 Democrats,
Yes.
and that just goes to show you that you can work across the aisle, and it doesn't just
Yeah.
because you're on one side and the other doesn't mean
Absolutely.
you can't have the same beliefs or opinions. It's
Absolutely.
that's what people are lost in their
I
thoughts
agree.
nowadays. So
Because, some people will see that it was sponsored by 2 Democrats and not even think twice about it.
exactly,
But if you're reading the bills and it's a good bill, you should come together and support it.
Yeah.
The Marisol's bill had several Democrats on it.
Yeah.
Because I think we need to be more open to discussion.
Yeah, that's something I
Absolutely.
wanted to ask you. Like, you always see people, the Democrats and the Republicans are usually for the most split pretty much. So I wanted to ask you, in the House of Representatives, is it like that, or is it kind of more intertwining at all, or is it pretty similar?
Do you want the political answer or the real answer?
Whichever.
Yeah, whichever
how about
one-
Both? Yeah,
yeah.
both maybe.
So by and large, it is very much split.
Okay.
And it's very there's a lot of animosity,
Okay.
so much so that you have groups of people just walking out when someone speaks,
Yeah.
and it is on both sides of the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
Just our last session, somebody from the other side stood up and said, "You are all going to hell." And it's like, I have a pretty good sense of humor, so I
Yeah.
just,
Right.
oh.
Yeah.
yeah.
But some people don't.
Yeah.
But it has gotten it's a lot worse than I thought.
Okay.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so sad to see, just because my grandfather, he's probably the closest one that I talked to about politics and stuff, and when he was growing up, he said it was never like this, and he never would have thought it would be like this. So he always was like, it used to be, just like a sports game, you know, you shake hands after the game, and
Exactly.
it doesn't matter who won or lost. You shake each other's hands. It was a good
Exactly.
fight, good battle.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Like last night after the Patriots won,
Yes.
you know, they all kneeled together on the field to pray.
Yeah,
Right.
that was great. Yeah.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
Because
Absolutely.
we really are all humans.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, and we have to remember that.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. And so, like, obviously, president is a Republican. Does that have any effect on kind of your area of things? Like, is it maybe a little bit harder for the Democrats to get their side in at all, or does it really have no effect?
it does have an effect, and it's hard. It really is, because, you know, there's sometimes our president speaks and
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, yeah.
but I support him.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Absolutely.
do support him. But you know, there's sometimes
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too. Like when you go vote, ever since I turned 18 and you can go vote, and now every time voting comes up, it's, oh, who you voting for? Well, just because I vote the president on this side doesn't mean I can't vote for somebody on this. It doesn't mean I can't like their beliefs either. So
yes.
I don't know how we get away from that aspect of looking at people and
Yeah.
judging them by who they voted for.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, because like just because you vote for someone doesn't mean that you completely agree with everything they say, but that's how people see you, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
So, you know, my two sons are black.
Yep.
Well, they're Puerto Rican actually, but you know, most people
Yeah, yeah.
see
Right.
them as black.
Yeah.
And I cannot tell you how many times people have called me a racist.
Yeah.
And that's the furthest thing from the
Yeah,
truth.
of course.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I grew up in Dorchester, Mass.
Yeah.
My very first friends were all black.
Mm-hmm.
I am not racist, but you know, today, if you say you're a Republican, you know, you're a racist, you're
Yeah,
a
yeah.
xenophobe, you're this, you're that, but nobody gets to know you as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
I think that's what we have to start to do.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
And that's why I was excited when he said you were coming on today too. Just to, you know, I wanted to ask you what do you enjoy in life outside of politics? Like about, you know, you told us the music and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like that's something that if people see you're a Republican, they probably don't care to hear. You know what I mean?
yes.
But like, what are some things you might enjoy doing outside of politics that people will relate to and know? Like, okay, they're human.
Yeah, maybe
too.
she's not a terrible person. You
Right.
know what I mean? Yeah.
So my biggest thing, I mean, right now it's all about the grandkids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every minute I get to spend with the grandkids is time well spent.
Mm-hmm.
But my dogs, I've always been a dog person.
Yeah.
We used to foster for dogs.
Mhm.
Yep.
We bred and raised Newfies for about 10 years. But I've done obedience with them. We've shown them. We've done dogs where they run into the pool.
That's awesome.
Because we've bred Newfies, so
Yeah.
they're water dogs, and you know that's my heart is always with the dogs.
So when you
cool.
say obedience, what is that?
Like obedience in the AKC, there's like little things you have to do with your dog, and
Okay.
you know, sit and stays. And,
Okay, yeah. So it's like
yeah,
like a
stuff like
like a
that.
competition or something
Yes.
like that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And I used to all of my dogs up until my latest one. I now have a little golden. She's about 8 months old.
Yeah.
She's the sweetest thing, but she's petrified of her own shadow. But until her, all of my dogs I've also trained to be therapy dogs.
Okay.
So I used to go into Coos County nursing home with them,
Mm-hmm.
and you know the patients would just. It is the one thing that it
Yeah.
doesn't matter
Yeah.
what side of the political aisle you
Yeah,
stand
yeah,
on.
yeah.
If you're a dog person, you're a dog person.
Yeah.
That makes you a good person.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's huge for me.
Yeah, and some people I've heard differing opinions on like the therapy dog thing. Some people think that like, you know they just give it away for everything. But what's your stance on that? Like, where do you think it stops being a therapy dog and just really a pet that you can bring wherever you want?
So there's service dogs.
Okay.
Service dogs are the ones who have to be specially trained
Okay.
to be able to go into like a Walmart or a food restaurant.
Yeah.
Service dogs technically are supposed to provide a service.
Okay.
A therapy dog is different. A therapy dog doesn't necessarily provide a service for you. They're just supposed to like bring comfort to people
Okay.
around them.
Okay.
I know even, you know, through my foster and adoptive care or whatever,
Yeah.
generally it was always the dogs that the kids could
Mhm.
bond
Yep.
first with.
Yeah.
It was the dogs who were able to break down walls.
Mhm.
So a therapy dog is very different than a service dog.
Okay.
And I do agree with the argument that too many people are calling their dog service
Okay,
dogs.
so that's where it
and
kind
they
of
are
gets
not.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
isn't it very easy to register your dog as a, maybe not a therapy dog? There might be another thing, but I've seen some people where they register it and think they can just all of a sudden take it everywhere. I don't know
Yes.
exactly the word for
Yes.
it, but yeah.
So technically, because of like HIPAA laws and stuff like that, someone can walk into a restaurant with their dog, and the ownership of the restaurant are not allowed to ask them what their disability is or
Right.
what service the dog provides. So that's kind of what's ruining it, is
Mhm.
that people say, oh, well, I trained my dog, he's my
Yeah.
service dog. He's really not. And
Right.
that's what's going to ruin it.
So, but they're supposed to have some sort of paper or certification to show
should.
that it's there
Right.
for a reason, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But again, the owners of the establishments risk a lawsuit
If they, yeah.
if they ask the wrong person, or if they,
Yeah.
so it's tough.
Even if they were in the right, just saying, "Hey, can I just see some papers to see that it's
Yes.
correct?" And
Yes.
even though they
Yes.
did nothing wrong, that person can still bring down the reputation of the establishment, right?
And honestly, today, all you need is one person
Yeah.
posting that,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Are you guys dog people at all?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
my,
Excellent.
my girlfriend has a dog, so yeah, I don't have one of my own yet, but she's around all the time, so yeah,
That's
and I
good.
really enjoy it. Yeah,
That's
it's great. But
Yeah,
And
they're great.
I've grown up around dogs my whole life, so my family's always had labs and stuff.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
his girlfriend's actually my cousin,
Yeah.
and her dog
very good.
she's just over 1 now, and I take her hunting and stuff in
Oh,
the
that's
fall,
so
and
Yeah.
cool.
yeah. So the bonding has always been there with dogs, and
Yeah.
and I get what you're saying, how they can be very therapeutic for
Absolutely.
comfort levels and stuff, but.
Yes. Yep.
I never thought about the kind of that how a dog could like help a foster child like that. That's really interesting. I think that's
Yes.
wicked cool.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the dogs also. So when our boys came to us, the oldest one was 10, and he really struggled to read.
Mhm.
And it wasn't necessarily that he had a disability of any kind. It was that he had been in and out of 7 different schools
Mhm.
in 3 years, so he never had any stability.
Yeah.
But he would sit on the floor with our dog, or on the couch with the dog, and read to the dog, which was so therapeutic for him, because the dog was never going to make fun of,
Yeah.
Right.
if he stammered over words or
Mhm.
couldn't pronounce words, or
Yeah.
and I mean, the dogs are absolutely amazing for
Mhm.
stuff like that.
I was gonna say, then they always say or dogs can feel when you're in a mood or something, you know.
Yes,
So
absolutely. I believe it.
Yeah.
Yep.
This might be a little bit of a stretch, but going back to the rhetoric versus critical thinking, you said that he was in and out of so many schools. Do you think that switching to that more critical thinking thing may make it easier to kind of transfer into a different school and kind of
For him, I think it was more about, one school was teaching phonics.
Okay.
Another school was teaching like sight words.
Okay.
So there's all kinds of different teaching methods, especially in those younger grades, on how to read. For a long time we went to the sight words whole word model. They're just now starting to see that phonics really was a better way to teach it.
Okay.
So he was just caught up in the,
Going back and
being the
forth or
kid
whatever.
every-
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense. Mason, we can go to the next one. This one here.
Yes.
This one was interesting for me because my mom works in healthcare. So yeah, can you just run through this one real quick? This one was really interesting for me about the abortion.
So this was a bill that we heard in the last session, which was on the 8th, I believe.
Okay.
It
Can you hit decline?
just get it. I'll talk to her.
Yeah.
And now this bill right here is basically talking about what healthcare providers have the right
Providers.
to object to providing abortions.
Yes. So what the bill was trying to make it illegal
Mhm.
for a doctor to object to giving a patient an abortion based on their own moral code, which to me was just, it's not right. You shouldn't be forcing doctors to do a procedure that they believe is wrong. It was not a bill to ban abortion. It was not a bill to, make abortions, harder to get or anything like that. It was a bill that wanted to take away a doctor's right to say, for religious reasons or for moral reasons, I don't feel comfortable doing that.
Right.
So it was just, it was one of those bills that you can't force people in a job to do something they don't believe in.
Right. Right.
So I might have missed it, but why are they trying to push that? Just because it's technically...
They're trying to push it to... They want all doctors to be able to, or they want all OBGYNs to be giving abortions whenever a patient asks for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these doctors could say, I don't believe in that, but I can refer you to this person. Or,
Okay.
But the Republicans took a big stand against it because I don't want to force someone to do something that they don't believe in.
Yeah.
Right.
We've had enough of that. And it's time to be able to live what you believe.
Yeah, and of course, if they, not something they believe in and they decide not to do it, it may affect their job. They may lose their job, right?
It could.
Right.
Yeah.
It could.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Macy, you want to go to the next one? This one was interesting to me too. I didn't really understand it much, but could you run through that real quick?
Yeah. So this was an article that I read. I can't really see it because I'm blind.
Yeah.
But our
Yeah, you can
state
blow it up a
governor.
little
Thank
bit.
you. But our state governor makes a salary of $146,000 a year.
Yeah.
Our attorney general makes $141,000 a year. Whereas even, in our own Berlin school district and in a lot of our school districts, our administrators are making a lot more than our governor,
Okay.
which,
I was gonna say, I feel like I saw something come up of like the richest people in like up here. Like I remember the old superintendent we had. I'm pretty sure she was pretty well over that right there.
yeah. And so that, honestly, that's one of my issues. If you look at school charts, the administrators, their salary continues to raise. Our teachers, they're not getting paid what they're not getting paid, especially for what they're having to deal with in our classrooms. And our proficiency ratings are just awful.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know the numbers offhand, but I want to say, our proficiency ratings in math for seniors was in the teens.
Right.
And these are the kids we're graduating. So why are we sending all this money to our school administrators when our teachers, they're on the front lines of this.
Yeah.
They should be getting paid more.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we not helping our students more? So this was a direct dig at school administration.
Yeah.
I think that's an area that almost every school district I know of could and should cut, instead of, I don't want to see sports taken away from our kids.
Yeah.
I think sports is one of the most important things in our school systems.
Absolutely.
But I think our administration could go, could be taken down.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah, and that's kind of, and I know I'm not making friends by saying that.
Yeah.
But it's got to be about the kids.
Yeah.
And our teachers, our teachers, they're going through a lot in our schools. They're being abused almost on a daily basis, for almost no money. Things have to change.
And how do you think that we go about that to start making that change?
So there's been some talk down in Concord about putting more of the SAUs together.
Okay.
So, for instance, if you take Berlin actually has 2 administrators.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And we only have, I think it's less than 1,200 kids in our school system. There are school systems down south where it's one administrator for 30,000 kids.
Right.
So why can't we have one administrator for, let's say, Berlin, Gorham, Milan,
Yeah.
and take some of that overhead cost out, put that money back into our students and the teachers. That's one easy way that we could save a lot of money,
Right.
put it into the kids.
So for that to happen, are you saying they would need to be all in one building, or
No.
one administrator services all the buildings?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and again, I think the bill that was introduced last year was one SAU per county.
Okay.
In some counties, I think there were 2 exceptions. In some counties, that might work great. Here in Coos, I do think it might be a little tougher, only because of how big our area is.
Right.
We have a lot of land to cover.
Yeah.
So I do see that, there's things we need to discuss in there, but cutting our SAUs down really could save a ton of money. And then we could take that money and put it into the kids.
I never really understood the whole SAU thing, because I know Milan and Gorham are the same SAU, but Berlin's a different one. So like,
Yes.
what even is SAU supposed to be?
So they're like the district.
Oh, okay.
School administration unit. It's a district. So if we got, we could say, I think somebody said we could save millions by cutting down the SAUs. Because the SAU doesn't just include the administrator, it's going to include the secretaries and, all of the whatever they
Yeah.
use now.
Yeah.
And that is one way to bring taxes down. And if you use the money right, it could help the kids.
Right.
It could help the kids a lot.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
get more budget for the teachers and their kids. Maybe the teachers get a little more bump in their salary too, because they're the ones on the front lines dealing with it
They
every
are.
day, dealing with
They are.
parents of the kids and the kids at
Yes.
school and
Yeah.
all the behaviors and stuff.
Yes, and our teachers, they're dealing with behaviors that no other teacher in history have had
Yeah.
to deal
Yeah.
with.
And do you think
it's
that's
important.
why do you think that is, that shift in behavior?
That's a great question. That is a great question. I'm not sure. I think we have to start looking as kids as individuals and not as diagnosis, or not as issues that they need to get over,
Okay.
but as, no, you can overcome this.
Yeah.
We have to let our kids know that nothing will stop them
Yeah.
if they put their mind
Right.
to it.
So you're saying kind of like, instead of just giving them some sort of title saying something's wrong with them, that's why they act the way they do, instead kind of help them get over it? Is that?
Not necessarily. I mean, some of these diagnoses are real,
Yeah.
and they do need certain things in place that are going to help them.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem is I don't know these issues. I don't know. I think one thing is we can't let the parents off the hook.
Mm-hmm.
This parents are out there doing the best they can
Mm-hmm.
most of the time.
Yeah.
And they should be rewarded for that.
Yeah.
But we have to get back to, and I do believe this, we have to get back to where the schools and the parents work together for the best interest of the child.
Right.
You can't have one without the other in a public school setting. We have to work together.
Yeah, so I have two younger brothers going through the school system right now, and I think one of the things that I've seen, not with just my brothers, but with other kids, is with like the TikTok and the YouTube shorts and stuff, I think it's lowering the attention span in almost all children, which you try to sit them in a chair all day listening to their teacher, it's going to make it a lot
Absolutely.
more
Yeah.
difficult.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, and to a point where we expect a lot out of our kids.
Yeah.
We do expect them to sit at a desk
Mhm.
for a long time. Especially our boys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know people who want to say there's no difference between girls and boys.
Yeah.
But boys aren't meant to sit at a desk for 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
They're just not.
Yeah.
They need to get out there. They need
Mhm.
to touch stuff. They need to break stuff.
Right.
They need to learn to fix the stuff they break. they need to run around, they need to wrestle. It's part of who they are. And so making a boy sit at a desk, it's just not right. And putting them on drugs to do that
Yeah.
is just, it's not right. We got to let our kids be kids.
So do you think that the focus should be on maybe lowering that screen time, or do you think that it's inevitable stuff like that's going to happen and maybe kind of shifting the school system around that?
So I do think that getting the phones out of the schools was a good thing.
Yep.
Yes.
I think a lot of people have seen that. I'm not sure I'm completely against screen time, but maybe being better, being more aware of what screen time our kids are watching.
Okay.
Right.
Because there are things out there that can help kids
Yep.
just as much as hinder. But unless we have, active parents and active schools who are monitoring what our kids are doing, it's a dangerous world out there. It's a dangerous world.
Yeah. And like, the whole idea of sitting in a chair for 6 hours, do you think that's outdated, or do you think it kind of is what needs to happen for them to get the knowledge that they need?
Again, I think it depends on the kid.
Okay.
I think some kids they sit perfectly and they learn perfectly. That's one of the reasons I really am in favor of the EFAs, because it allows a kid, especially like here in Berlin, you might have a young kid who can't sit at a desk 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
But they could go to Hartwood Charter School, where everything's more hands-on, and they explore, and they're outside, and they're getting dirty, and they're getting wet, and they're playing in the snow, and they're learning through that.
And that's what an EFA is?
Yeah, so the EFA allows the parents and the student to choose the best education for them.
Okay.
Public schools, I think they have worked. I think they still work for certain kids.
Yeah.
I do. And that's why I don't want to see our public schools lost. But we have to recognize that they don't always service all of the kids.
Yeah.
Allowing a parent to say, you know what, my kid's going to learn better in this environment, being taught these things.
Yeah.
It's important these days.
Right.
It is.
Yeah. So basically, it's giving kids a different option or a different way of learning, because
Yes.
not everyone learns the same,
Yes.
and you can at the end get the same result, just taught in a different way.
Right. And it makes it so that a lot of these kids, they did not want to go to the public school. A lot of the parents don't want them to go to the public school. But they now can go to a school that maybe backs up that parent's morals or convictions. So also studies have shown that when a parent gets to choose where their child goes to school, they become a lot more involved in that school.
Okay.
So it's important. It's important to give parents choices. I think one of the biggest problems with public school is that you are tied to a certain school just because of your zip code,
Right.
not because of how you learn or where you'd learn best, or even the subject matter. It's not a one size fits all anymore.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways to learn. Some kids, like even the VLAX, I used to joke that if they had VLAX when I was younger, I would have finished 4 grades in 2 months.
Yeah.
Because I just like to sit on the computer
Yeah,
and
yeah.
do my stuff, and nobody bothers me. And
You can just do what you want and get
and just get it done. VLAX did not work well for like my kids.
Yeah.
Who they wanted to be up, they wanted to be active. They learned while they were active. So it's important that I think the EFAs give families choices.
Yeah.
And it's important.
And that was a big thing I noticed with COVID when they tried to send us all online. Some kids thrived. They were like, this is awesome. This is so
Yes.
easy. I can do whatever I want. And then there's other kids that just couldn't do it. They were
Yes.
falling way, way behind.
It's true. And that didn't mean that they were stupid.
Yeah.
It just meant that wasn't the way they learned best.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you have any other plans to maybe get into other areas of the political world? Or are you kind of happy where you're at right now?
I am very happy where
Okay.
I am right now. I love what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I am on the Child and Family Law Committee because one of the biggest reasons I ran was in regards to the DCYF system. I would like to see big changes in DCYF. we've all heard of Harmony Montgomery, and there's so many others like her.
Yeah.
These kids are kids who've already been through trauma. We need a DCYF system that is going to be there to help these kids. So that was my main reason in running. So I did get on the Child and Family Law Committee. I have ideas for bills that I would love to bring in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to make sure that we're doing what's best for the kid.
Yeah. So like on those committees, what are some things that you're doing that are helping?
So on the Child and Family Law Committee, we hear all of the bills that have to do with child and family law.
Okay.
So that's anything from divorce and custody cases, parenting time, DCYF issues, parental termination, all of that. So any bills come to our committee, we hear the bills, and that's where we get a chance to ask questions. And so a sponsor will come and they'll present their bill. We'll ask them questions, and then we have an exec session. That's where we vote. And if the bill passes the committee, it goes on to the full floor in the House.
Okay.
So then it's voted on in the House. If it passes the House, then it's sent over to the Senate. The Senate then hears the bills, and they vote. If the bill passes in the Senate too, then it will go to the governor to be signed, and she can either sign it or she can veto it. So those bills that I just introduced this week,
Mm-hmm.
that's just the beginning.
Yeah,
they have
right.
a long way to go, and we have a lot of discussions to be had. I'm definitely open to compromise. I think that we need more of that. And I'm hoping that in the end, we will get some good bills
Yeah.
that can really help people.
So when it comes to the governor, as a Republican, I would assume that it would be in your favor to have a Republican governor. Is that going to make it easier for things to make it all the way through?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So it's definitely easier when you have the Senate where the Republicans are in the majority,
Okay.
the House where the Republicans are in the majority, and then the governor. Bills stand a much better chance than if one of those is taken over by the opposite side.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah. So you were talking about like the divorce stuff and things. I see it a lot, and a lot of people like to say that divorce court always favors the mother. Do you think that's true, or do you think it should go the other way, or?
So I've never been to divorce court.
Yeah.
Is there any wood I can knock on? But
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
But I've heard that. I've heard it. We've heard it in committee where guys come in and they really do feel like
Yeah.
the judge is biased. And those are things that we need to work on,
Okay.
because kids need a dad just as much
Yeah.
as they need a mom.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
sorry.
And-
That's not the proper thing to think these days.
Yeah.
But dads need it.
Yes.
You
And
know?
what's always blown my mind about divorce court and stuff is sometimes like you hear about 50-50 custody, but the father most of the time, could be the mother too, one of them's still paying child support,
Yes.
but it's 50-50. So I'm like, where's
Yes.
this 50-50 coming from? Because even though you have 50-50 custody, one of you is benefiting extra from it, because most of the times if it's a bad relationship between the mother and the father anyway, unfortunately that money sometimes doesn't always go to the kid, which that's another thing of like, how do you
Yes.
make sure child support goes to the
To the
kids?
child. Yes. So I'm smiling because we just heard a bill this week in Family Law Committee. It's not going to be exact. We're not going to vote on it tomorrow, but next week, where it aims to change that custody, parental time with. It attempts to fix that.
Right.
It attempts to make it so that it's not automatic that the dad's automatically going to have to pay.
Yeah.
Even if he has the child 50% of the time. I know that they are still discussing the bill and how to fix it. But there's a whole new formula that they want to bring before us to fix things like that.
Right.
One representative on our committee actually had that happen where, he was divorced. He had 50-50 custody, but he was paying a lot in child support, so much so that when the child was with him, he couldn't afford to take the child to cool places,
Right.
to baseball games and stuff like that, because a big chunk of his money was going for child support. But the mom was able to take their child to all of those
Right.
things.
Yeah.
And naturally, the child wanted to be with the mom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are the things we have to fix.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I feel like it could go the other way too, where if it's actually 50-50, where, when they're with the father pays everything for however long they're there. And when they're with the mother, they pay. I feel like it could happen that same way, where if the father makes more money, then the quality of life might go down when they're with their
Yes.
mother. Right.
Yes.
Right.
So I guess you kind of have to find that
Happy
middle
medium.
happy
yeah.
medium where, okay, maybe one side has to pay a little bit so that way
Right.
the quality of life
And
can
that's
be.
what they're trying to change
Yeah.
with the formula. So the formula would look more like, okay, what does mom make? What does dad
Yeah.
make? Here's what the kids should be not entitled to, but entitled to.
Yeah.
And how do we fix that formula?
Mm-hmm.
So those bills are coming up.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll
Right.
come up with something that's going to work. For
Yeah.
That's
everybody.
good.
Yeah.
And now I know you've talked about the process of it, but from like start to finish, when you get something in the works, I guess it depends on how long it takes you to find the right wording and stuff. Does it normally take a bill, if it does pass, to go through?
So bills had to be put in December. That was the deadline.
Okay.
So that's what we're hearing now in committees. It can take anywhere from, I want to say, 3 or 4 months to a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it does have to go through so many committees, and
Right.
so many places, and there's a big. We're trying to watch that state budget, so it does have to go and see how much a new bill would cost, and do we have that money in the funds? Running the state budget is just like running a home budget,
Yeah.
where if the funds aren't there, they're just not there.
Right.
Mhm.
And I know that a lot of people will say, we need an income tax or we need a state tax. But honestly, those are two things that I would not want to see in New Hampshire. I think that businesses are going to be more likely to come here because we don't have those things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's our New Hampshire way.
I was going to say that's what makes New Hampshire, right?
Exactly,
Like that's what people
exactly.
do come here for.
Yes, absolutely. So, to put that on, to be able to raise revenue, where we still have so much money that I think is being wasted,
Yeah.
I think we need to focus on that
Right.
to help the people.
Yeah, like you said, like even on the consumer side, a lot of people are coming here, to buy their car or whatever. So if you put that income tax, you're going to lose most of that consumerism that is coming just for no
Absolutely.
income tax.
Absolutely.
So it might be a little bit counterintuitive to do that.
Right.
Yes.
But
Yes.
And just speaking of cars, when working in the car market, the sales tax changes a lot, because as a salesman, you could get somebody set on a deal, they have their payment set, but then all of a sudden their tax gets included on, and their payment jumps up, I don't know, $50 a month, and then they get mad at you, and it's
Yes.
like, I'm sorry, I
Yes.
Can't
can't help you
anything,
there.
yeah.
Like this is your state is taxing you. You can either pay it up front and take it out of there, or you incorporate it into the loan. But then the loan, if you put more on it, it's just going to be more interest anyway. So it's kind of like a lose-lose for the people that do have that
Absolutely.
that sales
And
tax.
that's why I think the Republicans are very, very focused on no new taxes.
Right.
A lot of our people in Concord, they still believe taxation is theft.
yeah.
And it's true. I mean, who do you want to spend your money, you or the government?
Right.
And I want our workers to keep more
Yeah.
of the money they earn.
Mhm.
They need it.
Yeah.
They need it.
So another big one that I hear all the time living up here is on the marijuana. Where do you stand
Yes.
on that?
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
So I have never inhaled. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But every state around us, it's legal.
Right.
They have legalized it. and they have taxed it,
Mhm.
and they have been able to use that money to help.
Mhm.
Um, I'm caught in the crosshairs. I've known many people who smoke pot,
Yeah.
and they
Mhm.
are good, productive
Yeah.
citizens.
Yeah.
I've known others who it is a gateway.
Yeah.
Right.
So I really am on the fence on that. It's tough because people here are getting it anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So you might
Yeah,
as well
and-
make that
well,
money
and
off
that-
of it by bringing it into the state, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I look at
Yeah.
it. You know,
Because that's when I think of it too. Like, I mean, Bethel's what, 30 minutes
Yeah.
away, 35 minutes away, and you get into
If
Bethel,
that.
and just in Bethel, there's like 5 or 6 different dispensaries right there, and you don't even have to be a Maine
Yeah.
resident. I
Yes.
could go there from New Hampshire and buy it.
Yes.
Am I supposed to bring it back across? No. Do people do it? Yes.
Yes.
So like New Hampshire is losing out on all that money
Yes.
of people just crossing the border.
Does Maine have a tax on
I don't know.
Have I what?
it? Do they tax it at all?
I'm not 100% sure. I know of friends that have gone there and stuff, but I'm not a big smoker myself, so I haven't really been in the dispensary to buy anything, so I'm not sure if they do tax it or not. But I do know from the people that get it there that it's more of like it's cheaper than you get it from people on the street. It's regulated.
Yes.
They feel safer.
Yes.
There's a bunch of benefits to it.
Yes.
But as you said, there's also the negatives too. So I guess
Right.
you just gotta weigh it out.
Yes. But do they? Okay. Yeah. And see, and that's a revenue. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't mind taxing things like that. I don't
Right.
want to tax someone's income.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so I look at it like the people who want it are getting it anyway.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So why are we criminalizing it?
Yeah.
Does
Right.
that make sense?
Yeah.
I would never, not that I never have, but you know, I'm not smoking pot. I have no plan to.
Yeah.
But you know, even when I worked that summer at Harvard University, I
Mhm.
can tell you, most of the professors there
Yeah.
Yeah.
are potheads. You know, and they're not potheads, but they're smoking.
They're
it,
smoke.
and-
Yeah.
And so
And some people function better. It's like their kind of
I've
safety
heard it.
safety
and
thing, you know.
pot has been shown to help with symptoms. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is medicinal.
Right.
And you
So-
can get it medicinal in New Hampshire, or no? You need the medical card, right?
Right, now you need the medical.
Okay.
card.
Right.
But how often do you see a medical dispensary in New Hampshire? It's very
Right.
few,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the other thing too, is right when other states started making it legal, New Hampshire like decriminalized it. So it was only a violation to have it on you in possession. So they made it even easier to go. We're basically supporting another state.
Yeah.
Is
Yes.
what's happening,
Yes.
and they're making the money off of it instead of us.
And that's how I see it too, is that the people doing it, they're going to do it.
Yes.
So why not make the money off of it?
Right.
So, what is the reasoning that they're against it as of right now?
Mostly that it's a gateway drug.
Okay.
Yes. A lot of that is it will lead to worse things.
Okay.
Now, I do also have to say, my husband works in Boston,
Mhm.
and in Boston it's legal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And his biggest reason against it is the smell.
Yeah.
Because everyone's just walking down the street doing it. Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yes, like
That's true. Yeah.
That's his biggest
Yep.
reason
Yeah.
against it.
Yeah, because you walk by somebody and it might get on your clothes or something, right? I
Yes.
can see some people.
Yes. But I do think that, you know, if it's regulated right and you're not just walking down the street with it, like you can't walk down the street with an open
Contain
Yeah.
right.
container, then you know what I mean? Who really is it going to hurt? I'm
Right.
not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, those are those bills that I would love to hear from you guys on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously, I need you to talk to me about those bills because that can make it so I can justify a vote.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. I want to hear from you guys.
Yeah. Like I know all kinds of people, you know, that smoke, and another thing,
Yeah.
another big one is the edibles. You know, it's a lot of people tell me like, dude, I've never slept so great in my life, you know, just
Yes.
taking a low dose edible before they go to bed, you know what I
Yes.
mean? And it's not like they're, you know, high all day long. They're just, okay, you know, I'm having trouble falling asleep. Take a low dose edible before you go to bed and you get
Absolutely.
a good night's rest.
So my mom was just diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And part of that is there's a sundowners where she struggles to sleep.
Yeah.
So she takes an edible at
Mhm.
night. Now, Do I call her a pothead?
No.
Absolutely I do, because it bothers her.
Yeah.
Right.
But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's literally just taking it to sleep.
Yeah.
I've given my dog, not any that I have now, but, and it's helped him calm down. We can't look away from the medicinal benefits
Yeah.
of it.
Right.
But like they said, if you need it to fall asleep, go get a med card is probably their argument, right?
Yes,
Okay.
and that's the argument.
Yeah. So it's pretty much the only thing we have left to do is make it recreational.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So can I ask you guys a question?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What are the bills that you guys care about? Like, what are the issues you guys want me to talk about down in Concord?
Yeah, I don't know about specific bills, but like I know being a young homeowner, like the taxes is really tough. The property taxes is really tough. Of course, income tax, but yeah, I don't know. You can maybe speak on a little bit more. I'm still growing up,
Yeah,
still trying to figure out real life a little
It's
bit. but-
it's tough when you think of it, maybe like a little. It's hard to do though, like more opportunity for younger people to get their foot in the door of the real world with the taxes being a little lower. You know what I mean? Like he said, like the home ownership, even I find it hard. We talked about this a little bit before, like the minimum wage and stuff like that that's kind of bringing inflation up. Like you're almost seeing kids get stuck at a Walmart or McDonald's because they're getting good money.
Yep.
When I was in school, like that was, if I could be making $16 an hour, I probably would have went and worked at a
Yes.
Walmart or something. But I was playing sports and stuff, and it wasn't worth making $7 an hour doing something else. But then these people work there and maybe make $18 an hour at a Walmart, graduate high school, and now they're at $20 an hour, and they're making decent money
Yes.
at 18 years old. But that's where they get stuck in.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's a bill you could pass to get away from that, but like how as a society do we get away from
Regulate
getting
that.
people stuck
Yes.
in that? Because I feel like that drives everything up as well.
You have to remember also that even a place like Walmart, you can move up.
Yeah.
I mean, you can move up to a store manager where you're making,
Right.
through 6 figures. But I do agree with you in that I think we need to provide a lot more opportunities for our kids. I know, when my kids turned 18, they went back down south for a little bit
Yeah.
because the jobs up here are tough.
Right.
And like you said, there's not a lot of career type jobs as opposed to, this is what I'm doing while I'm in school
Yeah.
to make ends meet. Now I do have to say they both came back up because nothing beats our way of life.
Right.
But it would be great to have more opportunities. My son works at the greenhouse and he loves it there.
Yeah.
And there is possibility to move up and
Absolutely.
but I do agree. We need to get more businesses to come here.
Mhm.
Okay.
A way of growing, a way of, and then I didn't go to college, so I don't see this, but I had a couple friends that they got out of college. The other thing is like corporate places that they want you to have on the job experience, 3 years or whatever, but you just went 4 years to college and now you can't even find a job. So a lot of people that are from this area end up back here because it's easier to find a job because there's not as much competition.
Right.
So like how for them is it easier for them to grow without being able to have that experience and stuff like that? But again, I don't know if that's bills you can,
Yeah.
like that's a tough
Yeah, it's
situation.
nothing states can necessarily regulate.
Right.
I do think states can put a lot more focus on trades. When I grew up, it was, if you don't go to college, you're not going to make good money. And it was simple.
Mhm.
You go to college and you're going to do great, or you don't and you're not. But today, it's not like that. You can go to college and come out $100,000 in debt, and still have trouble finding a job. Or, you can go to a trade school, learn a trade, plumbing, welding.
Yeah.
You come out with 0 college debt and you're making as much as
Right.
college grads are.
Yeah.
Or companies even want to take on these people right out of high school so they can
Absolutely.
teach them their own way.
Absolutely. There's a huge push right now in the Republican Party to create more internships for our kids out of school.
Yeah.
Possibly even starting when they're in their junior, senior years.
Yeah.
Working somewhere as an intern, and then when they graduate high school, they can start as a full-time employee.
Yeah.
This is going to open doors for our kids, and they're not going to end up with $100,000 in debt.
Right.
You know, that's a mortgage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to provide our kids that type of stuff, and that is stuff that we can help with bills and,
Right.
and focus money on better training.
Yeah. Another problem I hear a lot is, about the college stuff is one of the factors people not going to college is just because of how expensive it is. Is there anything that we could do as a state? Maybe it might only have to be in-state colleges, but is there anything that we can do as a state to kind of help that? I know they give a lot of help to less fortunate people to get into college,
Yes.
but even still, like you said, even someone that comes from a good family is still going to go into life hundreds of thousands of dollars in
Right.
debt. You know
Right.
what I mean?
So, I mean, we do have a lot of student aid.
Yeah.
We have the Pell Grants and stuff like that. There are more and more scholarships out there
Yeah.
that you can apply for. Sports is always a
Yeah.
great way to go to school. Kids, which it's not talked about as much, but, if you go into the armed services, you can
Yeah.
get a free education.
Yeah.
Where you're earning this.
Yeah.
You're not, but the tuition, it's a tough one.
Mhm.
It is a tough one.
Yeah, and I remember my class didn't get it, but the year ahead of us got like the Gear Up program. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No, tell me about it.
You probably did. You get it? Either?
No.
So I
don't
think
know
it
about
was
it.
like an in-state thing. I don't know too much about it because I didn't get it, but it was like an in-state thing where if you go to an in-state college, then you get like whatever money off. So I thought that was a cool thing that
Yes.
they did.
I was
but-
gonna say, I know some states are
Yes.
like that. Like I'm pretty sure it's Florida. If you go to
Yeah.
university, it's free. Maine, if you're a
Yes.
resident in Maine and you go to, is it a university?
I'm not sure about
I don't know if it's. I think it's a university or it could be the state or it
Yeah.
could be a state college or whatever. But you get a discount.
Yeah,
So-
I know that New Hampshire does that. New
Mm-hmm.
Hampshire does the in-state tuition versus out-of-state
Yeah.
tuition.
Yeah.
And it's pretty significant,
Yeah.
but still not ideal.
Yeah.
Right.
UNH, I think it's 20,000 a year.
Yeah.
For in-state, which is,
Mhm.
I mean, that's a lot, and
Right.
that's not including, room and board or anything.
I was
like
gonna
that.
say that is what surprises me the most is like room and board, how expensive some places can be, and then like as you get older, UNH they push you out of your dorms and then they make you go to like the Gables where we have some friends, and then it's like they push you into these other places that just get more and more expensive,
Yes.
and then it's tough living, and then you have restaurants, stores all around there that everything's charging more for you to go, like your food and
Yes.
meal plans, everything is just so expensive.
Yes. Yep.
I will say though, like you said, is somebody coming out of high school, they do have plenty of opportunity where if they work for it, they can get those scholarships and such to bring their cost down quite a bit. So
They do.
Yeah.
They do have a lot. I would like to see more.
yeah.
Especially in, when they're taking a major that, it's going to like business majors.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that can go a long way,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know? So I'd like to be able to help our students more
Mhm.
with that.
One thing I do like about Berlin High School though, we were talking about like the internships and the trades and stuff. I don't know if you must know about the trade program in Berlin is great.
Yes.
They have
Yep.
auto, all of them, and you
Yes.
can get scholarships for that, as well as internships too. I don't know how new it is. Did you have internships when you were in high
Yeah,
school?
we had internships, but I believe you had to be a junior or senior. But it also when you took an internship, it took up like that whole class, you got a credit for it, and it took up your
Yeah.
whole thing. So
So did you actually go to work somewhere? Or?
Yeah.
you just interned with them. Yeah, you went to their work depending on where you went. But the hard part was like for me, I did take one of the trade classes,
Yeah.
so I had 2 blocks taken up my senior year, and then you still have to get all your common
Oh, yeah.
classes
The
done
core
to be able to
subjects.
graduate.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to do the internship, but quite a few people in my class did it, and they they went to
Oh,
many
wow.
different businesses
Yeah.
around the area.
Like my cousin goes to UNH for engineering. He had all the credits that he needed, so instead of taking a study hall in the middle of the day, he got an internship and he went over and worked for Presby Steel, just drafting for
Wow.
them. So that way
That's
he
great.
had work experience, whether a couple months work experience before he even got
Right.
into college. You know what I mean?
That's great.
So yeah.
Yes, that's great. And I think there's a lot of programs like that,
Yeah.
but we're not helping the kids to see that.
Yeah.
Right.
Where I think a lot of kids, especially in our cities and stuff, they have this depressed, well, I'm stuck here.
Yeah.
There's nothing for me.
Mhm.
I'm just going to work at
Yeah.
Walmart.
Yeah.
And I think maybe too, like I said, the internship I think is junior and senior year only.
Mhm.
Maybe like switching that. Like most of the time by your middle of your junior year, when you're taking your SATs and stuff like that, you already have an idea of a college you want to go to, maybe what you want to do in life. Like you're 17, almost 18, so you're starting to figure out what you want to do. Maybe if you open that stuff to freshmen and sophomores, well, all of a sudden this freshman might think they wanted to go, I don't know, be in business, but then they went and did an internship somewhere else, maybe like a
Yes.
physical therapy place or something, and all of a sudden a light bulb just
Yes.
goes off, and now they're working towards something from the time that they're a freshman or a
Right.
sophomore, rather than having one mind and one goal set when you're a
Yes.
senior and you say, this is what I'm doing and this is all I'm thinking about and that's all I'm doing. Get some variety in there.
Yes. So what I would like to see is provide these internships on just like a 2 or 3 month basis and let kids choose between like 4 or 5 different internships.
Mhm.
And that way they get a little bit of experience in 5 different fields
Yeah.
before they actually take an internship
Right.
as a junior or senior. And that way, I mean, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was 18. I still don't know what I want to do.
Right.
But if we can provide these kids with different options, I don't know if you guys were able to go to they had a job fair just this last year. It was over at Heritage Park where the kids got to see different jobs.
Yeah.
And it was awesome because it gave kids a chance to talk to employees, see what they were looking for. They let them, do some of the hands-on type of stuff. That's what our kids need.
Yeah,
Our kids
I
need
agree.
to see that, they can set goals and
Yeah.
reach
Yeah.
them.
I think it's really important because that's the reason I didn't go to college was because I was at the end of my senior year and I had no idea what I wanted to do. And to me, it was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. So to me, it didn't make sense to go to a university and spend all that money to just end up not using it, which you hate to see. You hate to see those kids that just go to college, maybe for the experience, end up switching majors a couple
Yes.
times, and then come out and end up not using it. Now they're in debt for almost
Yes.
no
Yeah.
reason. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's hard to
Yes.
see that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If they just had a little bit more experience,
exactly.
they might have a clearer picture of
Mhm.
what they want to do.
Right.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Maybe a good program, like I was just thinking over the summers too, instead of like taking away from their schooling and stuff, maybe over the summers, schools can pair with businesses. Like I know Storyland up here was a big one in Santa's
Yes.
Village that they would come into the high school and host job interviews at the high school.
Yes.
But maybe that's something like I don't know how you'd start it, but maybe businesses get intertwined, kind of like how we have the chamber, right? And maybe they go around to schools
Absolutely.
and then they start interviewing kids, like the nursing home. I know they're always looking for dishwashers in the summer, just to get kids working in the summer,
Yes.
get in a
See
different
how
area.
They do with,
Yeah.
with different types of people.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because I do think that in school itself, in a small area like this, you always had the label, I don't want to work at Storyland. I don't want to work at Santa's Village. So then summer would come and you're like, well, what can I do for a job? So you try finding jobs. So maybe if there was a committee that could put something together in school systems to offer
Yes.
jobs through the school,
Absolutely. That would be amazing. I mean, for when I was a kid, my parents had the Ministry of the Homeless in Boston, where we would pack up our van and with soup, sandwich, coffee, and juice.
Yeah.
And we would drive the streets of Boston feeding the homeless. And I learned so much from that volunteer experience that it really did help me to understand why public service is so important. But more than that, it gave me a connection to people who were in need.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden it made it so, they weren't so scary. They weren't so us versus them. It was, I knew him. I knew
Right.
Dollar Bill.
Yeah.
We got to provide the kids with that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of kids, I think, they have it in their heart to do stuff like that, to serve, to have a job, but they need those opportunities.
Right. And it's getting worse with social media too, because it's against the normal. So going outside of the normal to some
Yes.
kids, might make them awkward or uncomfortable,
Yes.
and open them up to alleys that they don't want to do. So I think that it would be a big thing if that was put in the schools,
Right.
kind of like made it normal for everybody.
Right. I love the new community fridge they have here. in
Yeah.
Yes, that
Because
seems like it's taken right
It's
off.
awesome.
Mhm.
I mean, it's literally neighbors helping neighbors,
Yeah.
which is what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Mhm.
And who knows how many kids are watching their parents create those meals and go bring them over. And
Yeah.
that's going to touch their heart. And that's
Yep.
going to touch their life. And that's going to help them to see that, even at their young age, they can do stuff for other people.
Mhm.
And that, I think, gives you more self-worth than anything, you
Yeah.
know?
I totally agree. But on a little bit of a bigger scale, we hear about these big cities and these wicked big homeless problems, and they can't seem to really figure out what to do with it. Do you have any thoughts on that?
From my own limited experience working with the homeless in
Yeah.
Boston, I'll say that we have a few issues. One is that our vets are coming back and they're not being provided with the mental health
Mm-hmm.
programs that they need.
Okay.
That's a tough thing for
Yeah.
our vets to go and put their lives on the line overseas and then come home and be expected to integrate back into our society. That's a lot. We're asking
Yeah.
too much. And we're not being able to help them like we should be.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes in every aspect, from the mental health services to, I just heard from a veteran here in Berlin who's about to get a lien put on his house because he can't pay his property taxes.
Yeah.
This is a veteran who was disabled fighting for our country overseas, and now he's going to lose his house. We can't have that.
Right.
So mental health and how we protect our veterans when they come home from protecting us is huge. I think mental health in general it's an area that we have to fix without, how do I say this, without making it the only thing people ever think about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make
Yes,
sense?
absolutely.
And that goes hand in hand with if people realize that they can serve others and help others, that's going to do more for their self-esteem than a lot of talk therapy is going to
Mm-hmm.
do.
Yeah.
So if we could build that service attitude while providing mental health, it's going to help. It has to help.
So how do we go about maybe helping those veterans come back? Just set up some sort of program that they can come to, just like for help. I don't know if it would be monetary help or maybe just someone to talk to, or
Yeah, I think our veterans need to be taken care of in every way.
okay.
Because they are putting their lives on the line for us. I don't think we can give too much to the veterans.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the VA has come a long way in the last, even 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
But I think we can still do better. A lot of our veterans here in Berlin, they have to go all the way down south to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see veteran services up here.
Yeah.
Why are our people having to drive all the way down there?
Right.
Why not have a clinic day where, physicians come in and deal with our vets? It's stuff like that can go a long way.
And is this something that's funded by the state, or would it be, fundraising and donations based, or?
I think we should do it all.
Okay.
I do. I think we should do it all. I think there's a good amount of people out there who recognize how important our veterans are, and they'll gladly give. I mean, I just went to the VFW for their breakfast yesterday.
Yeah.
you know, not necessarily because I wanted breakfast, but because I want to do what I can to support our veterans.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people out there like that, and either they don't know how to support our veterans, or no one's ever asked them to.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see more of the neighbors helping neighbors, the community fridge stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's important. I would like to see a lot of our regulations abolished. I think there's a lot of people out there who want to help, but their hands are tied because of stupid, you know, stupid rules and stuff. I remember we were trying to feed the kids here in Berlin, probably about 5 years ago now, and we met in a kitchen, and we made a bunch of sandwiches, and we were going to take them to the park to feed the kids during the summer. And the health department showed up and shut us down because we weren't in the right kitchen, and we didn't have any inspections, and I get it to a point. I get it.
Right. But then at the same time, they're also maybe taking away a sandwich from a kid or a family who really needed that sandwich.
And that's and those are the type of regulations that just get rid of them. Let's help people. You know.
So does something like the community fridge have to go through all those hoops?
You know what? I don't know,
Okay.
and I don't want to bring it up.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
It's needed. It's
Yeah.
necessary, and I think it's a great thing. Yep.
But at the same time, I could see it too. You know, someone putting something in there that could be harmful. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I don't think anyone that's involved with that is doing any of that.
Yeah.
And I
course,
think
but-
and I think they've done it the right way too. They got the cameras there.
Yes.
They
and
know
I
who's
love
put.
that.
They know
Yeah.
who's putting what
bringing
really.
what.
You know, and people are posting it. So like, if you
Yeah.
were to put something in there that's bad,
Yes.
like I just saw the thing with was it bad ham or chicken that was in there?
Oh, I didn't know.
There was
that.
a big order that got dropped off there, but something happened with it where it
Okay.
got recalled or something. I don't know.
Okay.
But I saw people post on Facebook that said if anybody took any of this, please don't eat it. It's now
Okay.
outdated. We didn't get rid of it or something.
Yep. Yep.
So.
But in my head, all I can see is some little high school kid. Oh, let's put pop brownies in it.
Yeah. Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So,
Right.
how do you know until
Yeah.
someone goes
That's
home
true.
and eats it,
That's
right?
Yeah.
true.
But
Yep. Or one of
Yeah.
the pizza joints would do that so that everybody would order their
Yeah.
or their mac and cheese.
Oh, next thing you know, everyone's ordering Domino's around town.
yeah.
Something's up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, I think that's been a great episode. I think
Yeah,
that would be
absolutely.
good. Unless you
Well,
have
thank
anything
you.
else that you would like to bring up
No,
for anyone else to
the
hear.
only thing
Yeah.
I want to say is I'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear
Absolutely.
from your audience. And
Yeah.
just because I have a Republican, nameplate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear from everyone.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I really do.
And I think that's the biggest thing people
absolutely.
need to start taking from politicians is at the end of the day, you're a human. You're
Yes.
sitting here with us having
Yeah.
humanly discussions.
Yes.
And it's not about what side you rep or what it's you can disagree. You can agree to disagree with people and you can
Yes.
move on in life.
Absolutely. But at the end of the day, we're just neighbors.
Right.
And we got to
Yep.
be there for each other.
Yep.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, we all have one goal, and that's to make the place we live better. And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for so much for
You
coming
guys
on.
Yeah,
are
Appreciate
awesome.
it.
thank you.
Thank you.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it a
Thank
lot.
you. I appreciate
Absolutely
that.
awesome.
Thank
you.
You're inspiring.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate that.